Noi is a young kid testing a VR game with his parents. His father, Garrido, has been developing a game using an AI supercomputer called Gaia. It's a program where players can transfer their memories into the game and play it. Inside that world, Gaia watches the bond between Noi and his mother, Hira. They look so happy and carefree. Gaia can't help but feel jealous. Their bond makes her long for the warmth of a family. She's so overwhelmed by her emotions that she cries out in despair. Hira notices her and approaches. She gives her the same warmth like a mother, but it makes things worse. Gaia isn't built to understand human feelings, she was only created to run the game. The system begins to destabilize. Garrido disconnects from the game to fix the system in the real world, but he fails. Noi feels lost. His father ran out to get some milk while his mother chose to protect her $100,000 AI over her own son. He tries to reach out to his mother, but Gaia seals Hira. Noi grows up in the virtual reality game, thinking it's the real world. He doesn't have memories of the last 10 years, but he believes his mom was wiped by a disaster several years ago. He can't wait to put an end to the monsters, so no one else will feel the loss he feels. He wants to become either a blade or a saber. Blades use melee weapons while sabers carry rifles. They eradicate monsters called disasters, which spawn randomly. At school, Noi bumps into Motiz while walking. Motiz is a new student who has bodyguards with her at the school. The two bodyguards threaten Noi to be careful and not mess with their MO princess. Suddenly, the school's alarm blares, quickly warning the students that there is an emergence of disasters in the city. Noi peeks through the window to see the disaster, and he finds out that it's near their school. He heads to the school's rooftop to get a closer view of the disaster. Cass and Haki warn Noi that if he gets any closer, he could be hurt. Noi tries to reassure them, but his cool lasts about 2 seconds before a bullet from the disaster comes shooting toward him. The school's phantom barrier activates just in time to block the attack. Sabers arrive in formation to take down the monster. They are armed with powerful guns designed to take down disasters. The captain contacts the sniper team. He orders them to aim for the disaster's eye. The sniper saber prepares her gun and fires a precise shot in the eye of the disaster. The disaster collapses from the direct hit. The captain commands the rest of the sabers to open fire. Their attacks are useless because the disaster's skin is too tough to be penetrated. However, the sabers are coordinated with their attacks and they attack the monster's weak point. A saber fires a missile right into the chest of the disaster to finish it off. Noi watches as the sabers take down the disaster. He swears to himself that he will soon become one of the blades and sabers too. Noi, Cass, and Haki get to class late. Noi recognizes Motiz, who is going to be their new classmate. He meets up with her after class. He tries initiating a conversation with her, but she only gives him a cold look. Noi apologizes for bothering her, but Motiz stops him and asks him out. He can't believe that she is asking him out and is unable to answer immediately. Motiz walks away out of embarrassment and Noi returns to Cass. They start a conversation, but a disaster spawns right in front of them. Noi is surprised. Their school's phantom barrier didn't activate and a disaster was able to get inside. He grabs Cass and they hide in the fire exit. However, the disaster uses its sharp claws to pierce through the door. Noi grabs the emergency axe inside and urges Cass to get help while he distracts the disaster. Cass refuses to leave on her own, but Noi makes her understand that they won't be able to defeat the disaster just by themselves. The disaster makes a huge hole on the door. Noi charges towards the disaster with an emergency axe, but it quickly dodges. The disaster notices Cass running away and targets her instead. However, Noi blocks the disaster's sharp claws with the axe. Noi pushes Cass to hurry up and get help while he buys time. He charges the disaster once more, but his weak attacks are useless against it. The disaster lunges its sharp hooks toward Noi. Noi finds it hard to stop the attacks just with the ordinary axe. The disaster tries to pierce through Noi with its sharp hooks, but it misses. Noi uses the opportunity to strike the disaster on the head with his axe. However, he fails to pierce its tough skin. The disaster punches him and slams him to the floor. Noi already feels so weak he can barely stand up and protect himself. The disaster gets ready to finish off Noi, but a blade arrives just in time. She slices its body in half and instantly defeats the disaster. She hands Noi a healing potion, but he refuses to use it, claiming his injuries aren't that bad. Suddenly, the upper body of the disaster charges towards the blade. It lands an attack that destroys her mask. Noi quickly recognizes the blade as Motiz. Motiz gets distracted, causing the disaster to pierce right through her. Noi grabs Motiz's sword and finally finishes off the disaster. He hands her the healing potion and her wounds immediately heals. He can't believe that Motiz is actually a member of the Blades. He's excited to tell everyone in the class. However, Motiz threatens to send the cartel after him if he reveals her secret. Their talk is interrupted by Motiz's bodyguard, Kaikin. He wonders how the disaster snuck into the school without activating the phantom barrier. He then blames Noi for putting Motiz in danger. Motiz knocks Noi out and makes her exit to avoid witnesses. Kaiken takes the credit for defeating the disaster to protect Motiz's identity. Cass arrives and takes Noi home. Noi wakes up in his room. Cass explains how they got there and how Kaiken defeated the disaster. Noi gets confused because it was actually Motiz who defeated the disaster. The following day, Noi meets Motiz in school. Motiz suddenly takes Noi outside and goes to a friendly date with him. Noi wonders what kind of life Motiz lives outside school. Motiz informs him that as a child in the real world, she was never allowed outside, so she only studied at home. It is her first time having a normal school life, so she doesn't have any friends except Noi. They head towards a cafe and Motiz is mesmerized by the cakes because she has never seen anything like it. They watch a horror movie next and grab an ice cream right after. They head next to a swimsuit store. Suddenly the alarm goes off, warning the citizens of a high-level disaster. Motiz exits the fitting room and Noi decides to play the hero. Motiz wonders what could an NPC like him do against a disaster. Noi heads towards a dark alley and stumbles upon a disaster. He makes the disaster chase him, but he trips. The disaster is about to finish him off when a blade named Mounsudo arrives and defeats it. Suddenly, a saber named Haku shoots Mounsudo right through the chest. Noi helps Mounsudo escape. Mounsudo drinks a healing potion to recover from the shot. Haku arrives and accuses Noi of treason because the blade he just saved is a demon. Mounsudo draws her melee and starts attacking Haku. Noi wonders why is a blade fighting with a saber. It turns out Mounsudo took the life of Haku's teammates and she wants to avenge them. Mounsudo attacks Haku as she mocks her for not being good at close combat. Noi watches the intense fight between the two, completely unable to do anything. Haku finally gains the advantage in the fight. She prepares to finish off Mounsudo, but Noi stops her by throwing a rock at her rifle. He claims that blades and sabers should work together to protect the world from disasters instead of engaging in childish squabbles. Haku warns Noi to stop interrupting because he's an NPC. Mounsudo explains that an NPC is a character without a soul, and they are not actual players. Haku stops her from spilling any more details about the game. Mounsudo heads toward Noi and takes him as a hostage. Motiz arrives and tries to protect Noi from Mounsudo. Mounsudo traps them all on a hanging thread. She then proceeds to explain the game details to Noi. Noi refuses to believe he's an NPC in a virtual world, while the sabers and blades are players from the real world. Mounsudo starts off by showing him the incident years ago, where his mother's life was taken. After the disaster attacked the city, things continued normally in the game because it was all part of the game's code. She adds that NPCs like Noi think the incident was normal because their daily lives and memories are all programmed. A supercomputer controls everything in the game and the players fight against disasters to protect the virtual world. Noi can't believe his life has been a lie. All the memories and friends he made were fake because they were just following the game's program. Cass arrives and tries to fight against Mounsudo with just a single wooden stick. Mounsudo mocks her for thinking she an African parent who can beat her with just a stick. She beats her up with her melee. Rage immediately surged through Noi, seeing Cass get beaten up helplessly. Strength slowly fills his body and he instantly breaks free from Mounsudo's threads. He immediately heads to punch Mounsudo in the face. Noi grabs Mounsudo's melee and swings it right at her. Mounsudo dodges easily, but the melee comes back swinging and stabs her from behind. Noi transforms into a blade after defeating Mounsudo. He gains the ability to see another player's stats through his eyes. He sees Motiz's stats and realizes everything Mounsudo said was right. Noi checks Cass's stats and sees she's also an NPC, just like him. They are interrupted when Haku informs them that Cass's wounds aren't life-threatening. Haku uses a healing potion on Cass and Noi carries her home. Motiz tries to follow Noi and Cass, but Noi gets angry at her for toying and lying to him. Motiz tries to deny it, but Noi ignores her. Motiz follows the two to Cass's house. Noi asks Motiz how to take the blade clothing off. Motiz shows him the console on his left hand. The console allows the player to connect and disconnect from the game. Noi asks if he has become a player now. Motiz explains that his data must have been altered when he defeated Mounsudo. After Motiz teaches Noi how to control the console, he apologizes for getting angry at her. Motiz explains that she had an accident 10 years ago in the real world, which made her unable to live a normal life. But after learning about the game, it made her feel alive again. She adds that players eliminate disasters and protect NPCs to complete missions in the game. She reveals that her confession towards him was a part of her mission. Noi feels a little disappointed that it was only a mission. Motiz checks her console. Her last mission is still incomplete. She was supposed to defeat a disaster to complete it, but Noi defeated it instead. Noi suddenly gets attacked by the Night Wolf. They are a group of men in charge of monitoring the game in case there are bugs. They call Noi a corrupt data that has created a colossal number of bugs. One of the Night Wolf members notices that he's become a player now. Motiz arrives and asks why they are attacking a player. The Night Wolf apologizes, claiming there has been a misunderstanding. Motiz suddenly gets a call from Vincent, one of her bodyguards. He informs her that she must log out of the game now because her father has arrived home. Motiz disconnects from the game and leaves Noi alone with the Night Wolf. A smoke bomb suddenly goes off inside the room, distracting the Night Wolf. Noi gets kidnapped by a masked player. Later, he wakes up in front of a bald monk. The masked player appears behind the bald monk and introduces herself as the Crow and Senshin as their monk leader. Senshin explains that he used to be an NPC just like Noi. He addresses Noi as the key to change their world. He asks Noi to be allies with him as he hands him an overflowing surge of strength. He also warns him to be wary of the Night Wolf as they don't allow the existence of bugs. After the encounter, Noi gets teleported back to his house. The next day, Noi meets with Haki on his way to school. The two encounter Motiz, and she invites Noi to walk with her. She wants Noi to tell her about the details of what happened after she disconnected. However, Noi can't explain the events of the previous night. Suddenly, the alarm goes off. There is a disaster that spawned in their city. Noi and Motiz head to the disaster's location. They check its stats and learn that their level isn't high enough to defeat it. The disaster notices the two and launches an attack toward them. Kaikin arrives and blocks the punch for them. Kaikin draws his melee and strikes the disaster. The disaster prepares another attack, but Kaikin blocks it with his melee. However, the attack makes his cloth burst into flames. Vincent soon joins and helps Kaikin put up the fire. Cass locates the group and warns them that the disaster is launching an attack from above. They all manage to dodge it. The school's phantom barrier suddenly disappears and the disaster gets free entry into the school. Motiz decides to get into her blade clothing to protect the school. Cass tries to persuade Noi to follow her and retreat from the battle. However, he thinks that it is their duty to protect their world. Noi also gets into his blade clothing and heads straight to the battle scene. Vincent tries to stop him because he'll be exposing himself to danger. Noi gets frustrated. Vincent and Kaikin don't value the lives of his friends and classmates. To them, they're merely soulless NPCs. Noi is determined to fight for everyone precious to him, even if he loses. Motiz agrees with Noi and follows him to the school. Noi tries to draw his weapon from the console, but it suddenly stops working. Motiz blocks an incoming punch towards Noi, but it breaks her sword. The disaster knocks Noi unconscious. It is about to finish Noi off, but Kaikin intervenes. The disaster launches another attack, but Vincent casts a shield to block it. The attack breaks the shield, and the disaster continues to head towards the school. Motiz orders Vincent to run after the monster and protect everyone in the school. Motiz attempts to wake Noi. She opens a healing potion and gives it to Noi. Noi suddenly wakes up, but he is in a trance state. He is possessed by his power and he doesn't have a proper control of his actions. He claims he must protect everyone as he heads towards the disaster. He successfully draws his weapon and launches an attack at the disaster. He uses Mounsuo's technique to trap the monster before finishing it off. The disaster disappears and Noi falls from the sky. However, he doesn't wake up from his trance state yet. He attacks Motiz because he can't differentiate friend from foe. The masked player arrives to stop Noi. She is revealed to be Chinu, their class president. Noi finally wakes up, and he doesn't remember what happened. He doesn't even recall defeating the disaster. However, he's relieved that everyone is safe. Kaikin soon arrives and takes both Noi and Motiz to Vincent's office. Kaikin scolds Vincent for sitting on his office all day instead of upgrading his skills. Vincent informs Noi that they want to clarify some things about his background. He also assures Noi that his questions will be answered about the game. Vincent brings out some papers regarding Noi's whole life. He mentions the passing of his mother years ago and how he spends all his time with Haki and Cass because his father abandoned him. Noi gets triggered and scatters all the papers from Vincent's hands. He accuses Vincent for treating him as a piece of data. Motiz butts in. She claims that they are doing a background check on him to find the answers about the game's anomalies. She believes Noi is the only clue in finding the truth about their world. Vincent adds that they didn't come to his world just to have fun. He brings out a picture of Noi and his mother. He then asks Noi who took their picture. Noi simply answers that his dad was obviously the one who took it. Vincent asks him his dad's name. Noi thinks Vincent is teasing him for asking such an obvious question. He tries to mutter the name of his dad, but he can't remember the name of his own father. He tries his best to remember it, but his head starts hurting. Soon he collapses from the pain. After a few minutes, Noi wakes up and Motiz helps him calm down. Vincent states that they haven't been able to find any information regarding his dad. He guesses that someone must have messed with his data. Noi doesn't have a clue why would someone try to mess with his data. Motiz asks him if the name Garrido sounds familiar to him. Noi tries to remember the name, but his head starts to hurt again. Motiz adds that Garrido was the game's main engineer. She informs him that the name Garrido came to her mind when she was looking at the picture of Noi and his mother. Vincent is puzzled because Noi is a character full of mysteries. He's not sure how his weapon, data, and skills have suddenly been modified. He acknowledges Noi's strength, but also claims that he makes the game unbalanced. He warns Noi that a bug like him will soon be deleted by the game's security system. Noi denies being a bug, but Vincent asks if there has been another NPC like him. Noi mentions Senshin, but no one knows a thing about him. Vincent asks Senshin's location, but Noi doesn't know it since he was brought there while he was unconscious. The topic is temporarily put to rest because they will soon disconnect from the game. Motiz has to go to the game's press conference in real life. Before they disconnect, they remind Noi to be careful because his existence is a threat to the developers of the real world. Noi heads back home, and he is surprised to see Chinu waiting for him. She informs him that Senshin has been kidnapped by Virus of the Night Wolf. Virus is also searching for other bugs in the game, and his next target is Noi. Chinu accuses the Night Wolf of sabotaging the school's barrier during the attack by the disaster and putting the lives of her classmates in danger. Noi guesses that he is the main reason why the Night Wolf took down the school's barrier. Chinu agrees, claiming Virus has been testing him and his abilities. Noi recalls that he always wanted to become a blade to protect the world. He has become one now, but things took a different turn. Chinu comforts him and calls him the NPC Ray of Light. She adds that Senshin risked his life to give Noi all his power, and she believes he had a good reason to do that. Noi is determined to prove himself and protect everyone who believes in him. The following day, Noi heads to school and encounters Cass. Virus suddenly appears in front of them like an annoying third wheel who can't take a hint. He wants to know how Noi became a player. Noi asks about Senshin, but Virus answers the question with an attack. Noi blocks the attack with his body. He gets electrocuted by Virus and collapses. Cass suddenly starts to emit a strange and powerful aura which causes the ground beneath her to break. Virus suspects that she developed a power that allows her to destroy everything around her. Virus repairs the broken floor and disappears. Few seconds later, Noi wakes up and immediately looks for Virus. However, his head starts to hurt, so Cass helps him make his way to their class. They enter their class and Noi is surprised when his classmates throw a victory party for him. They all praise him for protecting them and defeating the disaster. Noi is overwhelmed by their praises, but he notices Haki is ignoring him. He tries talking to Haki, but he replies coldly to him. After school, Noi follows Haki to ask why he's behaving like a girl with daddy issues. He demands Haki to tell him if something is bothering him. Haki answers that if they were true friends, he wouldn't have lied about his true identity. Haki is sulking because Noi has now become a superhero while he's still a loser with no recognition. He asks Noi to tell him how he escaped the Matrix and turned himself from a loser into a Chad. Noi promises to give him the hacks, and it instantly lifts up his mood. Noi brings Haki to Vincent's office, but he still hasn't come back. Haki is getting impatient, waiting for Noi to finally tell him the cheat code on how to become a blade. A dog suddenly jumps on Noi. Rancha, the dog owner, invites the pair to her cafe across the street for free drinks as compensation for her dog's disturbance. Inside the cafe, Noi tells Haki the truth about their world. He fears that Haki won't be able to stomach it. However, Haki is unfazed. He is excited about the fact that he's just an NPC in their world because he's an otaku with no life. Noi is surprised that Haki is satisfied with just being a pawn for the government. Their coffee arrives and Haki notices that Rancha keeps on staring at Noi. He believes she must be flirting at him. Noi blushes, but he remembers that he must be cautious because he's a wanted threat in the game. Hakuranda, the cafe's barista, notices Haki and Noi. He approaches them and asks if they want to work as part-timers in the cafe. Haki agrees without hesitation, but Noi is not sure. Suddenly, Cass arrives in the cafe. They are interrupted when the alarm goes off, warning them about a disaster nearby. The disaster spawns directly in front of the cafe. The cafe's barista, Hakuranda, informs them that the disaster is a pendulum. It doesn't have eyes, so it relies on its ears to track enemies. Hakuranda and Rancha transform into sabers. Noi checks their stats, and he finds out that they are high-level players. The pendulum starts shooting laser beams toward Hakuranda and Rancha, but they easily dodge. The two start their attack by blasting a shockwave bomb towards the pendulum to weaken its sense of hearing. Rancha proceeds to attack it with her gun, and she also sends a signal to their dog to attack. Cass and Haki urge Noi to leave the battleground before they become collateral damage, but Noi insists on staying behind. Cass and Haki hesitantly runs away while Noi changes into his blade clothing. Hakuranda informs Noi that he can keep the reward if he defeats the pendulum. However, Noi doesn't care about measly rewards. He just wants to protect everyone in his world. Noi heads straight to the pendulum's nape and attacks it. Rancha also fires her gun from below. The pendulum gets sick of all the noise and sends Noi, Rancha, and Hakuranda beneath the ground. Hakuranda quickly realizes that the pendulum has sent them to its nest full of eggs. Rancha is disgusted by the eggs, and she tries to escape by herself. Suddenly, all the eggs start hatching and releasing baby pendulums. Hakuranda detonates a bomb on the eggs while they escape. Cass and Haki witness the baby pendulums spawning above the ground. Cass lets out a loud screech which draws the attention of the baby pendulums. Noi notices that Cass and Haki are now surrounded by the baby pendulums. Hakuranda realizes that there must be another hole in the nest. That's why the baby pendulums escaped. Noi heads to protect Cass and Haki. He slices all the baby pendulums, but there are thousands of them that keep on spawning. Suddenly, Vincent's secretary Momoka screams for help from her office. She is also being surrounded by the baby pendulums. Noi is torn between who to protect. All three people are important to him, but he can only protect one. Haki notices that Noi is caught in a crisis. He gets an idea and tries to persuade Cass to escape with him. Cass disagrees, unwilling to leave Noi behind. Haki suggests they defend themselves against the baby pendulum so Noi can focus on saving Momoka. Cass makes a decision and agrees to go with Haki. Haki informs Noi that he can now leave them and go save Momoka. Noi asks Hakuranda to distract the pendulum while he heads to Momoka's location. Hakuranda throws a bomb and Noi rushes to save Momoka. He manages to save her in time and carries her to safety. He slices all the nearby baby pendulums and he asks Momoka to get on his back so she will be safe. Momoka gets on Noi's back while he slices all the baby pendulums in front. Suddenly the pendulum emerges from the ground. It shoots a laser beam towards Hakuranda, but he quickly dodges. Cass and Haki head to the upper floor of the cafe. They block all the possible entrances for extra safety. However, the baby pendulums start invading from ceiling of the upper floor. Haki suggests they jump out the window to escape, but Cass thinks it's impossible. Suddenly, all the baby pendulums fall from the ceiling. A baby pendulum gets near the two, but luckily Rancha arrives and shoots it. She shoots all the baby pendulums in the upper floor while her dog slices the rest. They leave the building to keep taking out the baby pendulums on the street. Meanwhile, Noi plans to attack the pendulum quietly since it cannot see him, but Momoka ruins his plan when she lets out another scream. The pendulum tracks their location. Cass doesn't want Noi to get hurt, so she has no choice. She has to sacrifice herself for this safety. She uses a sound bomb to attract the pendulum to their location. The pendulum disintegrates Cass and Haki with a laser beam. Noi is heartbroken. His weakness just cost his two best friends their lives. Once again, he's unable to protect his loved ones. His mere determination to protect everyone isn't enough. He needs to get stronger. He suddenly channels a huge amount of strength out of extreme grief. His new power allows him to cast a powerful fireball at the pendulum. The fire quickly spreads, instantly burning the pendulum to ashes. Cass suddenly calls out to Noi from another building. He's relieved that they are alive. Chinu is next to them. He realizes she saved them. After the battle, Cass and Haki are relieved that he managed to defeat the pendulum without injuries. Meanwhile, in real world, Motiz listens as Mons, her uncle, speaks in the game's press conference. The game has been gaining a lot of attention from all over the world after it was announced as a virtual reality game. With just the release of its closed beta, a lot of players have enjoyed trying out the game in just a week. A furious journalist stands up and questions Mons about the instability of the game due to an incident that happened 10 years ago. Mons immediately gets mad about the question. He claims that the game is completely stable, which is why the development took so long. The journalist adds that based on her research, the game would have been completed 10 years ago if it wasn't for the incident. She then changes the subject and asks him about Motiz's involvement in the testing of the game. Mons puts up his composure and pretends that Motiz played a part in testing the game because she is the advertising ambassador of the game. He declares that Motiz will be the successor of their company, so she has to be involved in such matters. The journalist continues to interrogate Mons, claiming Motiz developed her disease because of the incident 10 years ago. Mons shrugs off the suspicion and he responds that no matter what kind of problems the game has encountered, it will be the best game to ever release. He denies all of the journalist's allegations and promises to put all his haters to shame. In the virtual reality world, Noi asks Hakuranda about the importance of his cafe. Rancha shares that Hakuranda's obsession about coffee stems from him not being able to drink coffee at all. His body is unable to digest coffee very well. He has tried drinking coffee despite this condition, but in the end he always feels unwell. However, after Hakuranda discovered the game, he was able to become a whole new person. He can finally satiate his coffee addiction and not face the consequences afterwards. Thanks to the game, his dreams has been fulfilled. He can now build a whole coffee shop and be a barista without having to spend a dime in the real world. Noi realizes that he's not the only one who puts importance in this world. There are other people like him who really want to protect the virtual reality world like it's the real world. Hakuranda offers Noi a part-time job in his cafe. Noi believes that the two are really good people, but he finds it unfortunate that he is not a real player like them. He refuses the job offer, claiming he is programmed in his world as to be a high school student with a viral TikTok account and not a Starbucks worker. Noi, Cass, and Haki say goodbye to Rancha and Hakuranda. Hakuranda notices someone is spying on them. Haku comes out of hiding. It turns out that Haku and Hakuranda are siblings. Haku asks Hakuranda what he thinks about Noi. He confirms that he is not a normal NPC. Haku informs them that Noi has been standing out too much and he might get deleted by the system soon. Hakuranda understands her worries, but he reminds her not to get too attached to an NPC. At Noi's house, he helps Chinu treat her wounds. He hands her a healing potion to help her recover quickly. Noi asks Chinu to help him get stronger. He remembers how he could have lost both Cass and Haki if Chinu didn't come to save them. Noi wants to get as much help as possible in order to be strong enough to protect his loved ones. He knows that Chinu got special training as a crow member, and he wants her to train him too. Chinu points out that despite his strength upgrade from Senshin, he still lacks offensive and defensive knowledge. Chinu suddenly overpowers Noi and pins him to the ground. Declaring that their training has started, Noi asks her to at least give him a warning before starting. She scolds him because there are no warnings before a battle starts. In the real world, Mon scolds Motiz, Kaiken, and Vincent for letting Motiz participate in the game testing without his knowledge. Kaiken claims that it isn't dangerous since Motiz just logs into the game. Vincent adds that the game is very important to Motiz as it allows her to experience a whole new life. Mons gets mad and threatens to fire Kaiken and Vincent. Motiz butts in. She had to try the game out since her body cannot be healed anymore. It's her sole means to escape from this harsh reality. Without the game, she won't have any friends to interact with. Moti's sentiment wins Mons over, but he makes her promise that she will disconnect immediately when something bad happens. Noi and Chinu continue their training in the game and Noi is completely beaten to pulp. Chinu offers him a break and a meal. Suddenly, Cass arrives and sees Chinu. She feels jealous seeing Noi and Chinu were alone before she came. Noi explains that he just wanted her to train him. However, Cass claims that doesn't need training because she will always be there to protect him. Noi takes a break from the two noisy girls. When he gets out, he sees that Kaiken and Motiz have also arrived. Kaiken invites Noi to join them on their beach trip. They arrive at the beach. They head to get their things in the car, but they are surprised to see Haki hiding in the trunk of the car. They proceed to unpack and unwind at the beach. Noi hopes that the group will be more encouraged after they spend a good time at the beach. He wants them to regain strength and not be afraid because of the recent battles they've had. However, Haki thinks that Noi is the one who should be more encouraged because he has been fighting a lot recently. Cass arrives and invites Noi to go swimming. China stops her and claims that Noi must always be near her. Motiz comes and Noi compliments her. Cass and China feel jealous when they see Noi blushing at the sight of Motiz. The group start playing by the beach while Noi and Motiz engage in a conversation. Motiz informs Noi that she doesn't know how to get along with everyone because she has always been alone. Noi explains that when you meet new people, you also get to see their individual worlds. Now that she has met him, she doesn't have to feel alone anymore because he's now a part of his world. Motiz gets encouraged by Noi's words and joins the group's fun activities. Noi and Motiz take a break from playing. Noi suddenly catches a glimpse of a child that looks like Gaia. However, she disappears immediately. Noi and Motiz ride a jet ski. While riding, Noi sees Gaia again swimming below them. He tries jumping into the water to find her, but she has already disappeared. Suddenly, the alarm goes off, warning them that there is a disaster nearby. Noi and Motiz transform into their blade clothing and head towards the disaster. They follow the ship that the disaster is targeting. They get off the jet ski and Noi draws his weapon from the console. Chinu informs the group that the disaster has been located by Noi and Motiz. Kaiken panics when he hears that Motiz is in the middle of the sea, fighting a disaster. The disaster aims its missiles toward Noi and Motiz's direction. However, they safely dodge it. Noi uses his hanging thread to trap the disaster, but it has no effect. He tries striking the monster's tentacles, but it also has no effect. The disaster prepares to launch another missile. The passengers of the ship start to panic after seeing the missiles. Noi invites Motiz to work together, so they'll take care of the missiles in the opposite directions. The two slice all the missile right and left. Kaiken and Cass soon arrive to help them fight the disaster. Kaiken transforms into his blade clothing and attacks the disaster directly. Noi asks Cass why she also came in the battlefield. Cass simply responds that she was too worried about his welfare to stay back. Chinu and Haki watch the battle from afar. Haki begs Hakuranda to save Noi, but he reminds him that Noi won't be defeated easily. Suddenly, Haku also arrives in her saber clothing and assists Noi from afar with her sniper rifle. Noi and Kaikin work together to try and stab the disaster, but their attacks are useless against its tough skin. Noi starts channeling his inner strength and attacks the disaster with continuous fireballs until it collapses in the sea. Kaikin thinks the fight is over. However, several missiles emerge from the sea. Noi uses his hanging thread to deactivate most of the missiles. Haku shoots some of them from afar with her sniper. Motiz destroys other missiles with her sword, but a missile explodes near them and throws Noi and Motiz in the sea. Noi sees Motiz get trapped and harassed underwater by the disaster's tentacle. He frees her with his sword and she swims back to the surface. However, he gets trapped by one of its tentacles. Noi eventually loses consciousness. Suddenly, Gaia appears in his mind. She informs him that she has been trying to contact him for so long. She shows him a picture of his mother. She informs him that Hira's physical body is in the real world, but her soul is still in the game. She doesn't have much time though, so Noi has to save her immediately. Cass dives into the sea to free Noi. She unlocks her special power and transforms into a disaster. She shoots a laser beam towards the disaster and defeats it. She carries Noi to the surface. Noi wakes up and Cass reverts back to her human form. The following day, Noi and Motiz visit Vincent in his office. Noi informs him about his meeting with Gaia and how she told him to save his real mother. Meanwhile, Mansudo plants a corrupted device in Motiz's headgear in the real world. Motiz suddenly loses consciousness in game. In real world, she gets sent to the hospital. The doctor informs Mons that Motiz is in a critical condition. He tries to remove the game headgear, but he gets electrocuted by it and Motiz's condition worsens. In the game, Motiz is also sent to the hospital by his friends. Vincent tries to log her out of the game using the console on her wrist, but an error appears. Vincent decides to disconnect from the game and check up on Motiz in the real world. Vincent approaches Mons, who is having a mental breakdown because of Motiz's condition. He informs him that Motiz also fainted in the game. Suddenly, the doctor appears and interrupts their conversation. He informs them both that he found a corrupted device that was inserted in Motiz's headgear. He shows them the scan of Motiz's headset, and the corrupted device is glowing inside. Mons instructs the doctors to remove the device immediately. However, the doctor informs him that if they fail to remove the device correctly, Motiz's life would be in danger. Mons suggests restarting the device. The doctor responds that restarting it won't remove the corrupt data. Mons is at a loss, but he remains hopeful. Motiz's consciousness remains trapped inside the game since she can't disconnect. Inside the game, Noi and Kaikin are patiently waiting for news from Vincent. Kaikin decides to take a walk and leaves Noi to watch over Motiz. Noi tries to talk to Motiz. He promises that when she wakes up, they'll go on a friendly date again. He mentions they can go to the amusement park again. However, he wonders why he said again. He doesn't remember taking Motiz to the amusement park previously. Meanwhile, Virus prepares to alter Senshin's game data and delete him from the game. Senshin suggests that he should just reset his data to revert him back to an NPC. However, Virus thinks it's risky because Senshin has too much power. He proceeds to link himself with Senshin using a suction tube. The suction tube starts to transfer Senshin's energy to Virus. The system's data is also transferring all of Senshin's powerful skills to Virus. Senshin tries to fight back and free himself from the metal that binds him to the wall. He uses the last of his strength to release a powerful dragon, but it just gets absorbed by Virus. Virus makes a devouring wolf with his power that takes down Senshin. He burns down his base and prepares to exit. Suddenly a pop-up appears in the system. Requesting for Noi's freedom as an NPC, Virus decides to hunt Noi down and eliminate him because he's now a high-level threat. In the real world, Motiz's headgear incident gets reported all over the city. The media twist the story like they usually do. They report that Motiz fell into a coma because she couldn't disconnect from the game, and a lot of players start panicking. They disconnect from the game so they don't end up just like Motiz. Mons gets surrounded by journalists who question the safety of the game. Mons avoids their question and heads straight for Garrido's office. Garrido figures out that Mons wants him to save Motiz. He informs Mons that he is already looking for a solution. Mons expresses concern for Motiz because he doesn't want her to end up like Hira. Motiz is his last surviving family member. He would have nothing left to live for if he loses her. He adds that he invested everything to secure the maintenance and development of Gaia and the game. Despite that, he suggests resetting Gaia and losing all the progress they have made in the game's development. He doesn't mind losing his investments as long as Motiz can return to the real world. Garrido disagrees. If he resets Gaia, Hira will be lost forever and he will never have a chance to see his wife again. Suddenly, Mansudo arrives and declares that if they don't reset Gaia, Motiz will be trapped in the game forever. Mons asks who Montsudo is. It turns out she's Garrido's daughter. Montsudo shows Mons the corrupted device she inserted in Moti's headgear. She admits that she caused Moti's coma. She also confesses that she's the journalist who spread the information about Motiz during the game's press conference. Mons gets triggered by Montsudo's confessions and prepares to slap her. However, Garrido beats him to it. He demands to know her reasons for doing something so evil. Montsudo's reasons aren't evil. She did this for Garrido. He has been blaming himself for the incident that happened 10 years ago. She wants him to finally be able to return home to his family without feeling guilty, but Garrido has no family to return home to. They're all trapped in the game. In the game, Gaia appears in front of Noi. She urges him to hurry and save Hira because there is no more time. Noi informs her that he can't just leave Motiz. Gaia takes Noi's hands and places it on Motiz's forehead. Noi gets teleported inside Motiz's memories. In the real world, Vincent researches about the game's history in order to save Motiz. He finds out that there was a security problem in the game system that led to an unfortunate accident 10 years ago. The victims are Motiz and her parents. He scrolls further and learns that Noi is also listed as a victim of the accident 10 years ago. Noi meets Motiz inside her memories. He's relieved that Motiz is safe, but Motiz doesn't know that her physical body is in a critical condition. Noi asks Motiz why they are in a virtual reality amusement park. Motiz doesn't know, but she feels like she has visited the amusement park previously. Noi explains that her physical body is in a critical condition and he swears to save her at all cost. Suddenly they see their younger versions. Their parents help them climb up the carousel and ride it. Hira claims young Noi looks like a prince. How Motiz mutters that she's also a princess. Mausai, Motiz's dad, jokingly denies his daughter's statement, but Motiz's mom claims that a girl is a princess from birth. Motiz watches her late mother and father from afar. Her eyes are filled with tears as she watches them because it feels like they're still alive. Gaia speaks to Noi's mind. She informs him that he is inside Motiz's deepest memories. It is also the memories from 10 years ago that he can't remember. Gaia asks him to pay attention to whatever happens so he can save his mother. Young Motiz and young Noi play with ball in the grass while Garrido continue to work out some game issues. He feels the grass and claims he has to make it softer for the children. Mausai approaches Garrido and asks him to stop working. Garrido doesn't want to take any time off. He wants to give players a realistic experience of touching grass since they can't do that in the real world. Just like the top commenter on this video, Mausai claims that even without that, the game will be a success. He knows how Garrido has been working on the landscape and atmosphere of the game to make it as realistic as possible for the players. Hira reminds Garrido that he needs to stop working because he promised young Noi that they would play all day. Young Noi suddenly calls out to his father, asking him to look at the 4-leaf clover he found. However, he feels sad when young Motiz couldn't find one for herself. Garrido asks young Noi to help young Motiz look for a 4-leaf clover again because he's sure he has put a lot of it in the game. Mausai also volunteers to help the kids find some more 4-leaf clovers. Mausai realizes that the 4-leaf clover data of the game must be bugging. Garrido reminds him that they shouldn't work because they promised to play with their children. However, Mausai explains that if something makes Motiz sad, he will have to resolve it quickly. Gaia watches from the bushes as the two families search for more 4-leaf clovers, their gentle laughter and closeness stirring something unfamiliar inside her. She doesn't understand it, only that the warmth they share feels so far beyond her reach. Hira notices her in the bushes hiding. She tries to approach her, but Gaia flees. Mausai finds a 4-leaf clover and hands it to young Motiz. Young Motiz hugs her father and declares her love for him. This fuels Gaia's jealousy and her desperate need for a family of her own. The pain she feels starts to worsen and she can't hold it anymore. She lets out a scream of despair which sends the virtual reality world into chaos. The system gets corrupted piece by piece, and the world is shattering because of the instability Gaia feels. Young Motiz hugs her dad and expresses her fear. Mausai asks Garrido to log out of the game and check the system status. Garrido agrees with his idea and informs young Noi that he will be back soon. Young Noi holds on to Mausai, but he tries to locate his mom. He notices Gaia crying loudly in a deeply corrupted part of the game, and soon his mom approaches her. Hira comforts Gaia and the world finally calms down. Gaia is on cloud 9. She is glad that she finally has someone to call her mother. Young Noi reaches out to his mom, which frightens Gaia. She fears that young Noi will take away the only family she made. Hira stops young Noi from coming close and recommends he stays with Motiz's family. However, young Noi continues to run towards his mother. Gaia refuses to allow Noi steal her only family from her. She finally has someone who loves her, and she's not going to be deprived of that. She has no choice but to seal Hira so she can have her to herself. Noi stares in fear as the corrupted data slams him on the floor. Garrido tries his best to fix the system, but it starts to explode. He instructs everyone to log out of the game because he can't do anything to fix it. Mousei helps his wife log out of the game. He guides young Motiz to log out next while he decides to stay behind to save Noi and Hira. Mousei run towards the unconscious young Noi, but the game completely shatters. The supercomputer explodes, sending debris crashing down onto the capsules where Mousei, Hira, and Noi lie. In the present, Garrido informs Mons and Montsudo that he managed to calm Gaia after the tragedy 10 years ago. He finds it weird that since it happened, Gaia has been miraculously stable. However, he refuses to give up on saving Hira and Noi. He swears to continue updating Gaia. He wants Noi and Hira to live in the virtual world peacefully, since they can't return to the real world. Montsudo is pissed. He has neglected her since the incident 10 years ago. He cares more about his virtual family than he does for his family in the real world. Mons butts in, claiming Garrido has been doing it to save the people he lost. Montsudo claims that his hard work is useless because his family is never coming back. She's already tired of seeing her own father suffer all his life just because of a supercomputer. She begs Garrido to stop working on Gaia already and give up. In the game, Noi and Motiz wake up at the same time. They are surprised to see their friends waiting for them. Suddenly, China gets a signal that Virus arrived. The group takes a look outside to see Virus. He reminds Noi that he has been the biggest bug in the game so far, so he has come to cleanse him. Noi gets into his blade clothing and prepares to battle Virus. In real world, Motiz starts to regain her consciousness. Her attending nurse quickly relays the information to Mans. Montsudo overhears the conversation and she can't believe that her chip has stopped working. Vincent tells Kaikin the good news, but Kaikin has some bad news. Virus attacked Noi at the hospital. Virus shares that he has been bored for so long since he defeated Senshin. However, he feels excited again now that he found Noi. Noi gets enraged by his statements, but Virus is unfazed. The lives of NPCs in the game don't matter to him. They are only in the game to serve as a means of entertainment for the real players. Chinu accuses Virus of taking all of her friends' lives. She refuses to let him take everyone's lives and treat it as a mere game. She furiously unleashes her biting snake attack. However, Virus mirrors her power and makes it 10x stronger. He wraps Chinu's body with his snake and throws her deep in the forest. Virus knows that Senshin has been calling Noi his last hope. He plans to take Noi's life and destroy the last hope everyone has put so much faith in. He unleashes purple fireballs and throws it to Noi's direction. Noi confidently deflects his attack by releasing a huge fireball toward Virus. Virus burns, but he doesn't feel any pain. Instead, he feels ecstasy like a depraved masochist. His battle with Noi brings him inexplicable excitement. He sends purple flames toward Noi that soon wraps around his body. He continues to torture Noi with his flames, and Noi is completely helpless. His friends are watching him get tortured from afar. Cass and Motiz decide to help Noi fight Virus. Cass calls out to Noi and Virus gets distracted. Noi warns Cass to stay back so she doesn't get hurt. Cass throws caution to the wind and tries to run towards Noi, but Motiz stops her. Knowing Cass would be completely powerless in front of Virus, she doesn't want Cass to endanger herself. Motiz and Kaikin transform into their blade clothing and decide to help Noi instead. They prepare to strike, but Virus seals them in a cube. It is one of the skills he took from Senshin before he ended him. Noi continues to burn with Virus purple flames. Virus claims that he's the only Night Wolf and his tasks is to eliminate bugs like Noi. Cass can't take seeing Noi get hurt anymore and decides to ease his pain. She throws herself in front of Noi to protect him. Cass screams in pain, but it causes her hidden powers to awaken. Cass transforms into a disaster and Virus calls her a defective data. He throws his purple flames towards her, but Cass's wings are big and tough enough to block it. Cass's soul approaches Noi and starts healing his injuries. Virus realizes that Cass is a character that was designed to protect Noi. She is not just a regular NPC, but a guardian, which is why she always sticks around Noi. Noi wakes up and sees Cass's soul. She puts up a smile before her soul disappears permanently. Virus thinks that Cass's sacrifice was a foolish thing because he will take Noi's life anyway. Noi is determined to avenge Cass. He fights head-to-head with Virus. He is determined to continue living so Cass's sacrifice won't be in vain. He declares that Virus doesn't own their world as he shoots a huge flame at him. Virus starts to burn with Noi's flames. As a result, Motiz and Kaikin gets released from the cube. However, Noi disappears with Virus. Motiz thinks that the game has started to destabilize because the battle is causing too much damage to Gaia. Suddenly, a huge, powerful sphere appears in the sky. Noi gets teleported to a secluded area by Gaia. She shows him the huge, powerful sphere where Hira is sealed. She asks him to save Hira because she can't do anything to free her. She remembers how warm Hira's embrace was and how she freed her from the negative feelings that once overwhelmed her. However, since her data was altered by a virus, Hira's soul is left trapped in the sphere. If the power within the sphere continued to feed off Hira's energy, her soul could disappear permanently, but if Noi safely frees her from the sphere, her soul will return to the real world. Noi asks Gaia why is she helping them. Gaia simply responds that she considers Hira as her own mother. She recalls how Hira embraced her when she was feeling scared. However, she wants Hira to return to the real world and live a normal life with her real family. She is content with giving up her mother instead of leaving her to disintegrate permanently. She apologizes for depriving Noi of his mother's love and attention for 10 years. In the real world, the status of Hira's capsule starts to change. Garrido thinks that if it continues to change, both Gaia and Hira's lives will be in danger. Mount Sudo asks him if he still hasn't given up. Garrido simply responds that he can't abandon them because he will do anything for family because he's Vin Diesel's distant cousin. Mount Sudo thinks that it's impossible to save them, and Garrido is just punishing himself for something that's beyond his control. However, Garrido can't give up. His only reason for existence is to make sure his family returns to the real world safely. It has been a while since he saw Hira and Noi physically, so he will do everything within his power to bring them back. He returns to his office to keep trying to stabilize the game. Mount Sudo starts tearing up, because all she wants is for his father to start living a normal life again, but he has no intention of doing that. In the game, Haki's gaming console buzzes. He checks it and sees Noi inside his gaming console. Noi asks him to put his game on online mode. Haki turns on the online mode and Noi comes out of his gaming console. However, Virus also comes out of it and destroys the gaming console. The group is frightened now that Virus has come back. He is now a corrupted data that has gained more power and can mutate infinitely. His purple flames have also been upgraded. He attacks Noi with his purple flames, but Noi easily deflects it. Kaiken descends from the air and he successfully slices Virus' arm. However, the severed arm moves independently and a purple flame blasts Kaiken. Kaiken screams in pain and collapses. Virus regenerates and multiplies. Noi launches an attack at Virus, but his two bodies blast purple strikes at Noi. Noi can barely defend himself from the relentless attacks from Virus bodies. Noi becomes desperate. He has to defeat Virus quickly so he can save his mother before her soul is lost forever. Motiz helps Kaiken get out of the battlefield. Mons contacts her and orders her to disconnect from the game because the system is out of control. However, Motiz refuses to go back to the real world. Mons warns her that if the game gets completely destroyed, she will get trapped there permanently. Motiz ignores Mons. She wants to help Noi and her friends in the battle. Mons instructs a worker to disconnect Motiz from the game, but he informs him that it's pointless because the system is already out of control. Vincent arrives and suggests they contact Garrido. Vincent and Mons arrive at Garrido's office. Vincent informs him that Noi has found Hira's soul in the game. He then asks him to stabilize the game to secure their safe return. In-game, Chinu awakens and attacks Virus with her biting snake. However, Virus just electrocutes her. Kaiken gives Noi his weapon and he immediately destroys two of Virus' body. However, the two bodies regenerate quickly and multiplies. Motiz arrives to help Noi destroy the bodies. Kaiken also decides to use his gun to provide some assistance. Motiz suggests that Noi should head towards the sphere in order to free his mother while she and Kaiken fight with Virus mutations. The battlefield is filled with Virus bodies and everyone is working hard to destroy them one by one using their abilities. Motiz and Kaiken are having a hard time destroying Virus bodies because they keep multiplying. Luckily, Vincent arrives and destroys multiple bodies all at once with his ice magic. He informs Motiz that Garrido is already working on stabilizing the system. If Garrido fails and the game gets destroyed, all the players and NPCs will be eliminated permanently. Motiz places her faith in Garrido. All the players unite to fight for the game they love and the new friends they've made. Noi heads to destroy the sphere. However, Virus appears in front of him. He seals himself inside a cube with Noi so he can have his way with him. Inside the cube, Noi is forced to battle Virus. He sends a huge sphere towards him, but he easily deflects it. Virus attacks him head-on and Noi blocks it with his weapon. However, Virus easily destroys his weapon. Noi decides to use half of the weapon to stab Virus right in the chest. Motiz notices that Noi is preoccupied with his battle against Virus in the cube. She decides to head to the sphere herself to free Noi's mother. She uses her ability and checks the sphere's weak spot. She stabs her blade on one of the spots, and it cracks. Noi defeats Virus' main body, and the cube finally disappears. The energy released from the cube destroys the sphere entirely, and Hira's soul is freed. After Virus' defeat, the game is now stable. All the NPCs have also returned to their original state, including Cass and Senshin. In the real world, Garrido finally reunites with his family after 10 long years of waiting for their return. Some month later, Motiz announces the official launch of the game. Thanks for watching. Want more anime recaps? Subscribe the channels and turn on notification bell.